I think we can begin right now.
Okay, do the introduction.
Yeah. So investors are an extremely crucial resource for entrepreneurs, providing essential support for their startups. However, convincing them to come on board with an endeavor can be a considerable challenge. So, good evening, everyone. I am Shashwat Pandey, and I welcome you to today's workshop on the topic Make Your Startup Investor Ready by Mr. Avello Roy. But before that, let me give you a brief introduction about Mr. Roy. He is currently MD at Kolkata Ventures, Director at ECC Engineering Private Limited, and former startup advisor to the Prime Minister of Nepal. Mr. Roy is a serial tech entrepreneur, investor, and a TV host who started his first startup at the age of 19 around his patent pending technology while still studying as a computer engineer at the Illinois Institute of Technology. He built it to a multi-million dollar evaluation by the age of 22. And now comes the most interesting part. Mr. Roy is the great grandson of Sarojini Naidu, and he continues the legacy forward by tirelessly serving the Indian youth through entrepreneurship education using his lean startup methodology and the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Sir is an influential youth icon with a monthly reach of more than 200,000 youths over social media. And with this, I invite Mr. Roy to kindly take the talk forward and enlighten us with his knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashwat. So just wanted to quickly have from you guys who are present here in your chat, if you can just write down what stage your startup is in. If it is at the idea stage, write idea. If it is pre-revenue, write pre-rev. If it is post-revenue, write post-rev. So any of the three options, ideation or idea, pre-revenue, post-revenue. If you can put that in the chat section so that I know, so I'll cater according to your needs. Pre-revenue. Yeah. MVP idea. Okay, most of you are at idea stage. Okay, all right. Okay, we'll get started. Is my screen audible, visible? Shashwat?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'll just introduce myself. My name is Avel Roy. Like Shashwat said, I'm been an entrepreneur since my college days. Um, won many competitions, been playing competitions in US and Canada, and thereafter, got awarded by California State Senate. Built a team of amazing people. Former CTO of Motorola, former uh, marketing head of L'Oreal, former VP of Wrigley, VP of innovations at Wrigley. So these people, we put together as a team while being college students, got them out of their jobs, and together we built these different companies. So 8 businesses, 3 exits, and then came back to India in 2016 and started Kolkata Ventures. And Kolkata Ventures started with Kolkata, East India, and now we are all over the world. Actually, in 5 countries, we have our startups getting incubated and whatnot. So it's been a wonderful journey. 500 plus revenue generating startups, 4,700 new jobs created. Even in the pandemic, around 13.5 crores raised. So it's been a good journey for us. The special thing about Kolkata Ventures is here the mentors are all entrepreneurs who've gone from $0 to $1 million. It's not motivational speakers or authors. It's people who have actually built businesses, entrepreneurs, helping the next generation of entrepreneurs. Some of our startups, these have received funding. Others are in the process. I also teach at IITs, including yours. I've been guest faculty at multiple IITs, IIMs, and 2 US universities. TEDx talks, and then whatever I'm sharing with you today is my personal experience. So whatever little bit of success that I have seen in raising money and investing and building $25 million worth of products and services, that's going to be the source of what I'm going to share with you. We'll start with this little thing. So when Obama came into power in 2008, one of the first things he did was he recruited people like myself uh, to become his ambassadors and create job creators in Midwest America. I was representing the White House and uh, going to high schools and colleges talking about entrepreneurship. And one high school gave me this plaque that says, "Can't spell entrepreneur, be one and hire someone who can." It really sums it up. Like, you don't have to be an expert at everything, but what matters is you should have the ability to get those people who have the skills that you lack to come together and build your company. So the lean startup methodology definition of startup is that startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. That's the idea, that's the goal, that's where we are heading, that it can be scalable and repeatable throughout geographies. We start maybe with Guwahati, but we reach out to different regions and eventually we go national, global, etc. So the first thing is to start with the problem, right? Uh, this is the first slide actually of your pitch deck, is a problem statement. What is it that you're solving, right? A very closed kind of definition is a problem is something that no one wants. Everyone has to face it and no one can avoid it. That's a great problem if you can think of one. That's death, by the way. Death, old age, disease, things like that. So these are absolute problems, and these, if you think about it, these kinds of solutions, who make any solution to these, even imperfectly, that can make a lot of money. And these genres, just like corona being a disease, anybody, if you remember last year, coming up with even a semblance of a medicine or a vaccine or whatever, were making money, right? One after another, governments were shutting down. Okay, this medicine will work. Oh, this won't work, and people were like paying so much money for these just life-saving drugs. So if you have the right problem, even if the solution is not perfect, if the problem is dire, people will pay for it, right? Not getting into the ethics of it, good, bad, ugly, but that's how your pitch deck is going to be. You need to have a problem that you're going to give solutions to. So I would like you guys, rather than doing a radio show with you where I talk and you listen, I'd like you guys to write down a problem statement that you're dealing with. So many of you said you're at the idea stage. I would try to like you to convert your idea to a problem. So, for example, if your idea is, I have the best oximeters or whatever, right? The problem would be oxygen crisis in Delhi, just to give an example. So, figure out 30 words. What is the problem that you're solving for your market? You want an example? Here's the example. This is from the pitch deck of Airbnb. So, it's actually uh, directly from there. So, they are giving 3 problems. And if you see, they're not talking about their solution, they're only talking about the problem, right? So from your vantage point with your product, I would like to see in the chat section, what problem are you solving in 30 words or less? Many people lost jobs during pandemic. Okay. Non-native English speakers lack vocabulary skills, including myself. And in order to help them and myself improve, I developed a push notification of. You don't need to tell me what you developed. I just want your problem. Right now, just the problem. No solutions required. But okay, good problem to have. Making a virtual world in which Himanshu giving me a solution. I want problem. God, I'm the only person who's probably asking for problems. Hmm, non-native speaking Lack of including bus. Okay. Is there a way I can sell my startup? Don't ask me questions now. Setting up silent place for studies like libraries. Interesting. Okay. But that's the solution. You're not giving me a problem, Satyam. Think very carefully and give me a problem statement. The problem of wiring and occasions. I'm not so sure. If an investor sees this slide, will they be eager to see the next slide? What is your solution? Think about it that way. A problem of wiring and occasion. Like I didn't even get what the hell that was. Problem sounds like this: a lack of blah blah blah. Something missing in somebody's life. Think about it that way. No silent place for study in home in pandemic. Okay, good. Lack of medication facilities, or the price is too high for a common man. Give some context, Rohit. 30 words. Plenty of words are there. No exposure to get upgrade. For what, Aishwarya? Anyway, I'm helping you guys create your pitch deck, just so you know, with this. So after you're done with today's session, you would have created a few slides for your pitch deck. God, I hate Microsoft. All right. So some of you made some attempt. Here is now the next part of the exercise. Now you will write your solution. So whatever your company name, XYZ, LLC, private limited, whatever, helps so and so, that's your market, helps millennials, helps students, helps senior citizens, do whatever your value addition is. Solve crossword puzzles, I don't know. By dash, whatever that is, right? However you do it. So I've given an example down there. Kolkata Ventures helps entrepreneurs to build and growth hack their businesses by using lean startup methodology. We do a million other things as Kolkata Ventures, but this is the highlight. We help entrepreneurs to build and growth hack their businesses by using lean startup methodology. It's a succinct scientific solution statement. So in this format, write down your solution statement. Woody helps non-native English speakers improve vocabulary skills. Good. Okay. Okay, I'll keep moving. When is the right time to approach investors? So most of you are at the pre-seed stage, right? Where you're still figuring out who's your customer, who's the market, etc., etc. So you want to go to an investor when you're ready to negotiate, when you have something. Don't go like a beggar. I have an idea. Will you give me money? Will you give me money? Nobody will give you money unless they're your relatives, friends, family, parents. Kind of, that's different. When you're talking about professional investors, please understand they are looking for startups that have validated. That means startups that have proven there is a need in the market, they're solving it, and people want to pay for the solution. How do you prove that? Through MVP. Some of you mentioned you are at the MVP stage. So through a MVP. What in the MVP? If it is number of downloads, no, it's number of retention. You got 1,000 downloads, but how many of them retained in 30 days? Oh, well, there were 300 of them. Okay, 30% retention. Good. How many of them keep coming back? Daily active users or monthly active users? How much revenue, transaction, right? Any of those could be validation points and then growing from there. Like some could be beginner's luck, but thereafter, are you growing? So when you go to an investor, they're going to ask you these questions. And if you're at idea stage and you're like, with my idea, I want to sell it. I'm like, even my driver has idea. Don't come to me. So everybody has ideas. So what matters is, can you sell? Can you build? Can you put a team together to execute? Can you build your product? Can you market it? Right? If you can, then there is interest. If not, uh, no interest. I get a lot of messages every day where people come at an idea stage for funding, and unless you are a entrepreneur who's already been successful at idea stage, nobody will invest. If I were to start a business, at idea stage, I will get funding, no problem, because I have built and sold so many companies. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. It's already proven that I know how to build and scale up businesses. But for a first timer, it's you have to prove yourself first before somebody can trust you with their money, even your parents. Ideation, prototyping. So these are the different stages of funding. So ideation, prototyping is for those who are have some great credentials and whatnot. Um, Users and financial traction, that is the right time to do it. Like, you're really showcasing, like, okay, our revenues are growing and whatnot. And then when you are at month and month steady growth, that's when you're really ready, where investors would be at your feet, be like, okay, yeah, sure, take my money, please. Right? So at the ideation stage, if you're begging, at the month on month growth stage, investors are knocking on your door and they're negotiating with each other, fighting with each other to invest in you. Right? That's the thing. So be have the goal of getting to that level. Category of investors: initially, it's friends, family, fools. Nobody trusts you to give you enough money. It's your intelligence, if you can figure out with zero money to grow your MVP or be the techie yourself, build the app, build the website, whatever it is. Crowdfunding, not so easy in India, not so popular, thanks to the RBI laws. But you can, in some cases, crowdfunding works. Angel investors, people like who are $2 million or above in net worth. They might be entrepreneurs, they might be employees, they might be very highly paid employees who can invest some amount, but they want to see traction. That, okay, what is the traction that you have? What kind of things you have done without money? With that, they can decide, okay, with money you can do so much more. Venture capitalists, they're looking for 20x return on investment. Are you scalable? If you're not scalable, VCs are not going to even talk to you or respond to you. If you don't get responses back from investors, don't mind it. Investors don't respond unless you're really, really good, because thousands and thousands of people apply. It's just impossible to keep up. I Ask me about it, I know constantly we are getting these. And then there's corporate investors like Samsung Ventures, Amazon Ventures, Microsoft Ventures, Google Ventures, and all that, who give you not only money but also some benefits of the value that they create as a company. They give you some of that. Like Amazon might give you AWS related help or whatnot. Uh, that you even get with Kolkata Ventures. If you get incubated by us, you get $35,000 worth of Amazon credits and whatnot. So, but corporate investors are basically people, companies that are investing in you, and you not only get money, you get more than money. Banks and agencies, generally these are hardest for digital startup. It's not possible. For physical startups, it is. But then you have to do a lot of paperwork to get to that point. Grants are far easier. So as I'm sure IIT Guwahati has ESL, and there are grants available from DST and other places that you can have access to, that you should definitely try and talk to your professors to give you access to. Here are the stats of how people start their businesses. Generally, most people start with their personal savings or credit cards or friends, family. Very few people actually have access to outside investment like venture capital or angel banks. Crowdfunding is the least. Money comes in many forms. Know that. So don't always look for cash. There are people who will give you favors, who'll open doors for you, and that's worth money. So know that. Don't take no for an answer. If an investor says no, ask them to connect you with an investor who might be more interested than them, right? So always look for relationships. Relationships are equivalent to money as well. And also, like I said, Paytm, AWS, Google, HubSpot, they all give you money. You know, there's lakhs and lakhs worth of money available in the form of their services that they give for free to startups. And you get that only when you're part of some incubation program like Kolkata Ventures or your ESL at IIT Guwahati or things like that. Why investors say no? 99% of the time, investors say no. Only 1% they'll say yes, because the hard-earned money, right? Here are the reasons why: weak team, you know, students. That's a weakness because you know credentials, you have no experience, you screw up, right? Kids, students take time to learn. You don't know a lot of things that a person with experience would. Industry alignment. Maybe the investors from a different industry and they don't understand you. No barrier to entry, like you're building something that somebody can copy very very easily. Stage of business, you know you're just idea. They're not interested in the idea, they want to invest in a business. Too high valuation, sometimes people are like very nitpicky. Oh, I want 1 crore for 100 crore valuation. Like, good luck, not interested. Mm, too good to be true. Sometimes the idea is like, oh, I'm going to get you the sun and the moon on the table. It's like, no thanks. Legal issues, like gambling and things like that, or lacking a scalable story. How are you going to scale it up? Okay, it's a good idea, but how are you going to automate and take enable scalability? So these are reasons why um, investors back off. Know that you're going to get rejected left, right, and center in this journey, and remember this quote: many people are not successful because they fail to fail enough number of times. They let fear hold them back. So it's important that you learn in the entrepreneur's journey. It's filled with failures and rejections, and it's just part of our lifestyle, I guess you can say. When I was raising money, it was 2009, and the economy was bad. um, Investors backed off, and me and my co-founder kept going, kept going, kept going. We wouldn't give up. What happened was investors had very less startups to look at because most startups gave up hope, got jobs. We were competing with less people, and eventually we struggled through enough, long enough, that most startups died out, and we kept on going, and eventually we got funded. In fact, there was this article that was written about us that despite economy, college grads set to launch innovative product. You can see my name there, Avel Roy. So Huffington Post wrote an article because everybody was backing off, and here we were going forward in a broken economy, in a time when investors were not interested. We got rejected 300 times. 300 venture capitalists rejected us before we got funded. So that should inspire you to not take no for an answer. Rejection is a part of life, and keep going till you get a yes. What is investor looking for? Just the opposite of what makes them say no. So founder with skills and the high energy will, right? Founding team capable of execution, that they have done something before, history is required, right? Market validation, something to show that your product, your MVP, has a product market fit. Geographical proximity is sometimes important. Like if they're an investor in Gurgaon, they might not invest in Guwahati, right? Sometimes they do. Depends. Today with pandemic and Zoom calls, investors are becoming more and more flexible with location. And the rest you can read. I'm very, very sick actually. Um, down with fever, so it's very difficult for me to speak, but I'm trying my best to present to you guys. All right. The last thing I'll just say is exit strategy, which most entrepreneurs skip, don't talk about. But that's the most important thing for the investor, because investor is investing money not for charity, but they're investing money so they can get a return on investment. That means I'm investing a crore. I'm looking forward to getting 10 crores back. And I want to know what you're going to tell me about that. When you're going to give me that kind of thing according to your plan. So that's exit strategy. And most entrepreneurs in India don't talk about it. But those who do really get on the good side of the investor, because you're thinking about returning the money to the investor, right? Most startups are thinking of taking investors' money and splurging with it. So if you can have a slide on exit strategy, that would go in your favor. The rest you can easily Google and figure out. Credible team capable of execution. The most valuable slide, or the valuable thing that investor looks for is a team. Like I said, the team, you and the executive team. If you guys are capable of execution, then even if the idea is average, even if you know the market is kind of growing potential, they'll figure it out because the team can execute. But if the team is average and everything else is good luck. Some key matrices you should know that investors will ask you. Take a screenshot. How much to raise? A lot of times I get this thing. How much are you looking to raise? And people are like 5 to 10 crores. Like, hello, do you know the difference between 5 crores and 10 crores? It's 5 crores. That's a big difference. If you don't know how much you want, I can only imagine what you're going to do with my money. Sorry, not interested. So be very precise, be very careful how much money you're looking to raise. So if you're looking to raise 1 million, have a plan with it. How are you going to get to that number? You know, um, how are you going to make so much revenue, etc. Have a business model, have a revenue model, uh, pitch deck, business plan. These are all important things so that they know that you're thinking through, and you should know that you're thinking through to come to that number. It's not just a random guess. Okay, I need 1 crore, I need 50 crores, I need 100 crores. No, what do you need to get to what point, what revenue? Different categories of pitches. Elevator pitch, 5-minute pitch. Generally, you get 10-minute pitch. Uh, at IIT Guwahati, you might get 20 minutes. I don't know, but colleges are a little bit more relaxed. But real pitches, investor pitches, can be very, very strict. In Kolkata Ventures, we do 5-minute pitch, 10-minute Q&A, done, 15 minutes. Depends where you go, but you should be ready for all. But point is, your pitch deck is a movie trailer, right? Understand that it's a movie trailer. It's not all the answers. I just want to make sure, am I still audible and visible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, but
Yep.
your video is off, I think.
My video is off. That's not by choice. Okay. All right. This is what a pitch deck, comprises of. Within 20 slides, try to fulfill all these different headings. Once you are done with your pitch, they might want a business plan. So once pitch deck is over, then they might want a detailed business plan, and that includes all of these. Again, 20 pages to 30 pages, no more. Know that investors are always thinking, and you're also thinking, what is in it for me? What WIIFM? So when you reach out to investors, you need to speak in that way, so they understand what is in it for them, and you understand what domain they're experts in, who they are. It's never a good idea to reach out to an investor and say, sir, I want your money. It's important to build a relationship, build a rapport, introduce yourself, talk about that you understand what they have invested in the past, and based on that, help them. Scaling up, this is, sorry, I'm having a very hard time talking to you guys. So scaling up is this is what it looks like, where at the initial stage, if you see the straight line over here, that's your cost going up as your users grow, and then your value going up, right? So eventually there's a critical mass beyond which you can be profitable. Now, whether you choose to be profitable or not, that's up to you. If you want to be a unicorn, you choose not to be profitable. You choose to increase the angle of this line. That means you gush in more money into marketing, sales, into growth, rather than becoming profitable. And that's wonderful. That's not a bad thing. Um, the reason why all these companies like Cred or Zomato are in so much in losses is because they choose to continue to keep growing. If they stopped growing, they would be profitable in no time. But they're choosing to putting their money back in the business and keep rolling, keep growing, and keep increasing their costs because they're growing. That's why they're making losses. But their value is growing exponentially, and that's what you see when they go IPO and whatnot. So that's a scalable story, and it starts with your team. Like I said, use social media to your advantage. Build your personal brand as an entrepreneur, because when investors are looking, they will look through your LinkedIn, they will Google you. So if you have what they want to see, it always goes in your favor. Fund allocation is very important. How much you're raising is important, and how you're spending it is also important. Given the stage of business you're in, you should know how much fund to allocate to where, right? Um, at the scale up stage, when you're fundraising, it's important that you showcase that your funds are being used for marketing and sales majorly, because investors like their money to go in growing the business than growing your office space. Valuation and all, very simply spoken, there's two kinds of things: tangible assets, intangible assets. Tangible assets are basically your laptop, your table, chair, nothing really substantial for a startup. Intangibles are more substantial, like patent, like trademark, team, code, social media followers, etc. And cash flow, if you have it, fantastic. 5x your cash flow, and that's part of your valuation. Do you need further help? Yeah, if you need any help, you can always reach out. Kolkata Ventures has a program to make your startup investor ready. You can get virtually incubated by us. And there are lots of videos on my YouTube channel, more than 250 videos on funding, on pitching, on startups, product development, everything you need from zero money to $1 million. Uh, Step by step, I've made 5-minute videos, 3-minute videos for you guys, so you can access all of that. You can reach out to me personally also on Instagram or LinkedIn. Just search Avello Roy, and I'm the only one with that name. You'll find me. Sorry, my health is not very good. I've been under fever, and my tonsils are swollen, so I'm not able to talk very clearly. But I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'll let Shashwat
Yeah.
moderate the Q&A here on if there's any questions.
Yes, sir. So now we can have some questions to all the attendees. You can post your questions. And of course, we had some questions previously, so we can begin with that as well. Uh, the first question was, what is the difference between angel investors and venture capitalists?
Angel investors are individuals. Venture capitalists.
Venture capitalists.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Angel investors are individuals, and venture capitalists are companies that have a fund that hundreds of people invest in that fund, and then the VC, the venture capitalist, takes that and makes decisions for investing in various startups. And within a 10-year period, they have to return that money back to those who invested in that fund with a return on investment. So they are far more aggressive because they have a gun to their head, so they put a gun to your head. Whereas individual investors are more putting their own money in your company, and they're looking for a return on investment. So where the angel investor looks for 2x, 3x return on investment, a VC might look for 20x minimum to 100x return on investment.
Okay, so next question we have. In the starting phase of our investment, should we rely on investors or just we can take funds from banks?
You can't take funds from bank. You can't take funds from investors also. Um, Choose a business model that is not investor heavy or investment heavy. You can easily build a WordPress site for free. You can put your friends together and build an app very, very quickly. There is no code technology if you're not a techie. There's a lot of ways to build your thing from zero money. Don't expect government, banks, or investors to come and help you at the idea stage. That's not going to happen. unless you are well connected, you're from such a family where they can make phone calls and whatnot. Generally speaking, for the rest of the common people, that's not happening.
Okay, so we have what inspired you to choose entrepreneurship? This is my personal question as well.
So, um, growing up, I thought there's two ways you can solve any problem. I come from a political family, so there used to be a lot of people coming to a house for with their problems. My mother, being a politician, she would solve it with her power and the influence that she had. But what I saw was there's two ways. One is money, one is power. For me, my mother told me I shouldn't join politics because it's too dirty. 7 generations of politicians, so it should end with her. So I decided to go for entrepreneurship. Is the second best thing, that to solve problems in this world, entrepreneurship is the other option if it's not politics. So that's my motivation, is to build products and services that solve people's problems, and as a byproduct, people pay me for it.
Okay. So, as we have read that you are applying the principles of Bhagavad Gita in your business, so can you brief us how it helps us in the present business scenario?
Sure. Uh, Arjun was in the situation where he was confused, he was in dilemma, didn't know whether to fight this war or not. Entrepreneurs go through depression, entrepreneurs go through dilemma, confusion all the time. Why entrepreneurs? Students too. When you go through breakup, when you go through difficulties. So Bhagavad Gita, the whole book starts from Arjun saying, I don't want to fight this war, to Krishna giving him reasons to fight the war, and talking about psychology, talking about anger management, talking about what motivates what kinds of people, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. He divides people are three kinds, and different kinds are motivated by different things. So when you are doing self mind management, right, when building a business, or when you're doing employee management, people management, these principles really come in handy in understanding who falls in what category and what they're looking for and how to best motivate them in the right direction. There's a lot I can talk about. There are videos on my YouTube channel you can go watch. But the point is, Bhagavad Gita covers a whole gamut of human psychology that is so important in terms of self management as well as management of your employees, team, investors, and whatnot.
Great, great. So we have the next question, that how do we know how much money we will need for a startup?
First of all, don't even think about money. Think about the solution. What is it that will solve people's problem? For example, many people are like, once this Zomato IPO happened, people are like, I want to build a food delivery startup, I want to build an app. I'm like, if you want to build an app like Zomato, it's going to cost obviously 50-60 lakhs. But even if you wanted a very simple app, it would cost at least 3 to 5 lakhs. But here is a very simple way to take care of it. There are many rural startups in Bengal and Assam and other places where people are just creating a WhatsApp group. People are saying, on every Sunday they give like a menu, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day, this is what you get, this is the price. People pay via Paytm or UPI, and that's it. Food gets delivered through WhatsApp. Done. Right? So it can be very, very simple. So don't worry about how much money it will take. Think about what the solution people are looking for. Nobody gives a damn if you have an app or a brand or a logo or a this and a that. As long as your MVP is there and people are getting what they need, they're happy, right? After that, once you're making money, if you want to make it more evolved, of course, go for it. But initially, don't think about money. Think about the solution, be jugaru, and get to the point and get to revenue.
Okay, so we have the next question from Himanshi. What mistakes should we avoid while approaching the investors?
Well, first do research on the investor and find out what their background is. If they're not from your industry, they won't understand, and it'll be a waste of time. Uh, Another mistake is don't lie, don't lose temper. They are going to ask you hard questions, and that's because they're putting the hard-earned money into you. Once the money is in your pocket, it's in your control. then there's nothing they can do. So before that, they're going to ask you all the hard questions. So be humble, be responsible. Even if they say no, make sure you send a monthly email to them, updating them on the progress that you're doing with your startup. Because investors talk to investors. Even if the investor doesn't invest in your company, they will talk to other people who might be interested. So make sure you treat everyone uh, respectfully and keep updating them so they know that you're progressing. And the same investor who said no 3 months ago might now say yes to you, seeing your consistent growth.
Yeah, so you mentioned about Zomato. So we have a question on that. Ritesh has asked that you told Zomato cred were growing with evaluation, but they are non-profitable. How?
I just explained that to you. Go watch the video again, recording.
I think he
I even
joined late.
showed you the whole graph and I told you how the angle changes, and that's how they're not profitable.
Yeah, so he has posted that what is the perfect time for a startup that when we should go ahead.
There's no perfect time, just do it. Whenever you are awake and you have the resources, your mindset is ready, go for it. There is no perfect time. Don't wait for the perfect time. Just like stock market, don't wait for the dips. Just go at it. Anytime is good time. Of course, then opportunities come your way and whatnot, but you have to get the ball rolling. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll be waiting for eternity.
Yeah, so we have a question from Aman that how you started your first startup at an early age of 19, and what was your source of motivation?
Nothing. I was hungry to make people's lives better, and I was hungry to create. I was always a creative guy. If you saw my slide, the student slide, I was building a robot even as a
Yeah.
17-year-old. So I was always that creative person trying to solve problems, be jugaru and all that. So for me, this was a need, not really a dream. So for me to breathe, I need to create things and build products and services. That's who I am.
Yeah, so we have a next question by Bharti that in a startup should we focus on profit or something else?
Focus on revenue generation. As long as revenues are coming, if you can keep your costs down to the extent it's possible, you will be profitable. But profitability should not kill you. Initially, focus on revenue generation. Once you're making revenue, that's a validation that, okay, people are paying you for your product or service. Now, how to make that efficient comes thereafter. Okay, now try to, let's see how a market can cut costs, how I can do this better, how I can automate, how I can remove people and use more technology, etc., etc. But initially, just focus on revenue generation. 0 to 30 days, get to revenue if you can. By MVP, by whatever means, get to revenue. Once you're in revenue, then you can worry about profitability. But again, like I said, if you're raising money, don't worry about profitability. The reason why I say that, again, that angle, that the cost angle, you want to increase that. You want to be aggressive. You want to capture as much market as possible. So you're putting money back in the business, burning money to capture the market, right? 40% of credit card users use cred. That's not a joke. Cred has entire bank statement of 40% of credit card users. They know what I
Yeah.
buy on Amazon and whatnot. That's a huge data. Samsung, Vivo, Oppo, Amazon, I mean, you name it, Flipkart, Walmart, everybody would want to pay cred to get access to that data so they can market to me perfectly, to know what I buy and what I like to buy, so they can sell better. Does cred make a lot of revenue? No. But what they have done by, putting in all that resources is they've captured a huge market, and eventually that that data is what they're monetizing already and going to monetize more. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's a great thing to know. So we have a next question from Ayush. What if I have an idea that requires higher technological knowledge and equipment, but the idea is theoretically ready with me? So can I pitch it or should I build something?
If you can build it, build it. If you can build something dumber that can be done with simpler technology, simple things that are accessible to you, then do that. you know Again, like I said, idea does not mean anything if you can execute it. Like, if this idea requires equipments that you don't even know how to handle, or they're not even accessible to you at IIT Guwahati, what are you going to do? You're going to go and at NASA or ISRO at middle of the night and try to steal their equipment? No, right? And nobody's going to trust you to use those equipments during the day anyway. So you have to dumb your idea down a little bit, prove at a smaller level that this works, and then once seeing that proof, people will trust you more, right? So please understand that, don't jump to conclusions. Just because you have an idea that's worth 400, 500 crores, uh, don't try to do that, because you need to build a base. Elon Musk sold Paytm, PayPal. I'm sorry. Elon Musk sold PayPal. With that money, he was able to build Tesla and SpaceX and other things, right? So he built a base. And before PayPal, he had another company. I think some video game company, something he sold, right? So he has been building a history from something small. With that, went to the next phase. With that, went to the next phase. So like that, everybody has to go through that, where you come to a certain platform. You're at IIT, that's a great place to be, right? It's already a rocket launcher for you. But if it is beyond your reach, then go to a point where it will be within your reach. You might need a transition point, and that is an MVP, something a little less complicated.
Yeah, so we have the next question from Vipul. What were the problems faced by you in the beginning of your journey?
Knowledge and immigration. I was not a citizen of US, so building a company in a country where there is no law for a student visa person to build a company, that was something that required a lot of growth hacking, and I figured it out, and I got my H1B under my own company somehow. uh, and the next thing was knowledge. I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know how to incorporate a company, whether it's S Corp or C Corp. Like in India, we have private limited, LLP, LLC, all that. So I had no idea about legality. So I was constantly asking people, like, are you a lawyer? Do you know how to incorporate a company? Do you know how to file for patent? Do you know this? So I was constantly going to professors and bothering them, and they were willing to help. So the main thing was knowledge and immigration. Those are my problems. Money was later on. I didn't care about money. I was like, first let me build something, then I'll go for funding.
Okay, so we have the next question, that how to make the best use of the investment if we get.
um, Always the best investment is to build your
Yeah.
prototype, your proof of concept, and get it to a point where you can sell it and make revenue, whatever it takes for you to go from zero to whatever revenue. That's the utility, right? And then if you are making money and you got the funding, then how to get from that point to a month on month growth of whatever percentage, 10%, 30%, 40% growth, month on month growth, right? So that's the idea, that I have to grow my revenue. Sometimes it's growing users, sometimes it's not revenue. Like Mark Zuckerberg, for the first 5 years, 6 years of Facebook, he wouldn't allow anybody to give him ideas, anything other than how to grow users. He's like, don't tell me about advertising, don't tell me about anything. I just want to know how to get to the billionth user. If you have an idea, talk to me. If not, don't talk to me, right? Once he reached the billionth user, then he launched advertising, monetizing, and all of that started. So the point is, depending on what your goal is, what your focus is for your startup, accordingly you decide.
Yeah, so we have the next question by Rohit. If my idea and pitch are ready, so what are the basic legal knowledge I should have, like my patent and establishing my company? He's talking about the legal thing.
So know the whatever the agreements that are required. So shareholders agreement, for example, is required for whoever takes equity in your company, whether it's a co-founder or investor. Know about what are that private limited company is the only option. If you want investment, only a private limited company can get funding. LLP, LLC cannot get funding. Sole proprietorship cannot get funding. Legality wise, if you are in the food business, you need a FSSAI approval. If you are in some other scary business, you might need some licensing, some approvals. So those are some things you have to Google and find out. I'm sure IIT Guwahati has a legal cell or legal clinic that you can consult with.
Yeah, so we can have the last question right now. Should we focus on gathering knowledge first, or start first and then gain knowledge gradually with the base knowledge?
Do both. Do both. As you So here is what I do, and I always have done, is if I want to learn something new, I'll learn it. I'll give you an example. So when the lockdown happened, right, I had to close down my offices in Bangalore and Hyderabad, Delhi, and all. So I was like, okay, now I'm in Calcutta. A lot of time in my hand. I'm not flying around. What do I do? So I decided I'm going to learn digital marketing because I don't have good performance marketers. So I gave myself a goal. Avello, you're going to invest X amount, and I want you to yield 3x amount, you know, through digital marketing. Now you figure out, Avello, how you're going to do it. So I started reading blogs, watching videos, you know, reading, doing, and reading, doing, and finally I was able to figure out, this is how the process works. And then within 45 days, I was able to do invest X, get 3x out of it, and then eventually 5x out of it. And and I have become really good at it. And I'm able to train people who I hire to do the same thing for me, so I don't have to do it. But the point is, it was a new skill I was learning, and I gave myself a goal, and I gave myself the resources to learn from blogs and whatnot, YouTube channels and whatnot. And by doing, I was learning and reading and doing, and side by side. In that process, if you do something, you will learn much faster because you will see, oh, this is theory. Oh, this is practical. This is how it works. Oh, wait, I have a better way of doing this than the blogger or the YouTuber. Oh, I figured out a new insight. No, so that way, what happens is you're innovating, you have other people's knowledge, and it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So I think we are done with the question. So it is a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to sir for such a thought-provoking workshop, sharing insights about how to convince an investor from the very basics and showing us the right direction. And of course, clearing all the doubts which we students have. I thank you again for taking out your time from a busy schedule. And we could see you are not well actually, but still, it was a really nice session. I learned a lot personally. And I thank you again for you. Thank you, sir.
All the best, and connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and I look forward to helping you guys further. All the
Yes,
best. Take care.
thank you, sir.